Today's youth need teachers, volunteers, and most of all, well, they need you. I'm Doug Edwards, and I'm going to be talking with real youth mentors and students to give you the knowledge you need to be the best youth worker possible. This is Youth Worker on Fire. Hi, I'm Doug, and I'm the Reluctant Youth Worker. And this whole series that this podcast is about people who are either in youth work, whether it's on a school level, a public level, in some other way, city, county, state, or whether it's in a church or some kind of private group. Could be some of them are paid, some are volunteers. But I was the reluctant youth guy. I was the guy who did not really want to do this, didn't see it coming. And I'm here to help guys like me, as well as help people who have been in for a while and looking for that new edge and whether or not they need to go on or whether or not they're too young, too old, and find out what those parameters are. Find out how people like myself have helped other people and how it changes our world, okay? And so today I've got the teacher of this media department, in fact, who's done an incredible job, Mr. Mike Ligler. And Mike, I'm going to call you Mike because the students are never going to know. They're never going to know, right?
No,
they'll just edit or whatever.
They'll never
But tell me about your growing up, your teenage years, people who influenced you that were either volunteers, full-time, could be anyone in your life.
I mean, it started off, I can go off right. It goes back to my art teachers. Even during the summer, Susan Schreider, she's a Mount Dora local here, started off and got me interested. After her, had her in middle school also, and then to Susan Weinstock. So far it's been my teachers, you know, and then so it started off in the arts, and I never thought that I'd end up, you know, a media teacher. And high school, you know, played football. My coaches were there. Go back to younger, my swim coaches. It's been coaches and teachers and volunteers that have really just kind of shaped what I got interested in. And in the college level is where I got into television. Started off volunteering at the TV station. There's a constant theme here.
There is. Yeah.
And eventually that became paid work at a college level. You know, having a job in college, other than working at Walmart, I did that also. And people I met there. It's just an overall giant influence. And then, you know, I was you're the reluctant person. I was the reluctant teacher. I wasn't sure if, you know, I wanted to do it. And it was something that really just grew on me, you know, watching the kids grow and watching the kids become successful is really what's made it. It's made it really nice.
So that theme carries throughout. You've had full-time people, volunteer people, and you transition into both of those worlds too.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me about some of the people that you've seen that your work has had influence on. Give me one or two examples of when you first entered in and when that kind of aha moment, hey, this might be something I can do. This may be somewhere I can really make an influence in the world.
Well,
give me an example or two of some encounters you had.
Well, I mean, as you step in, I stepped in as a long-term sub at Leesburg High School, a tough location, and to really get the kids at Leesburg High School, you have to get buy-in. You have to get them to like you, and then they'll do stuff for you. Two of my earliest successes, Rob Nelson, Alexandra Valise, those names won't ever leave my mind. You know, they needed something to grab onto, and media and TV became their thing. Even before I had TV, Rob started working with me in web design and then morning announcements. We were doing them in my media lab, not even in the TV studio. We would do them, send them out to the school. And he has gone on to host websites and make a living doing what we did in high school. And that's truly amazing. And he credits a lot of that to me. I tell him it's him, but you know, he credits that to me, and that's big time rewarding. Alex Felice, she was blowing up the world in high school with her editing and going through the county, a lot like some of my current students, but you know, she graduated and she credits graduating. You know, this is one that I would go pick up in the morning, and I had the paperwork in the car in case she texted me and said, you need to come pick me up. My parents aren't awake. I'd go pick her up.
Wow.
Bring her.
Wow.
And
yeah.
So I feel like I had a big part in her graduating high school in general.
Yeah.
So that's two of my big early successes, even before TV production started.
So tell me, was there times in between the time that you began, finally realized, okay, this is something I can do? A few of those successes. Were there times that you thought, you know what, this is just not worth the headaches.
Every
Maybe I
day.
can do something. Say that again.
Every day,
And tell me why. Why every day?
it's the different personalities of all the kids. It's not even just the kids. It's we have a ton of paperwork as teachers that we have to get done, cross our T's, dot our I's. And Sanjay, is it worth the headache? Is it worth the amount of effort? I lay there at night and just sometimes think about my decision to be a teacher.
And then what would shake you back into the fact that, yeah, I'm going to go another day, I'm going to go another week, a month, another year? What types of factors would come in that you'd have this aha, okay, gosh, it's worth it?
God, it goes back to the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think about it, there are those kids, even the ones that I see just in the parent pickup line, that expect to see my face,
Mm-hmm.
smiling at them, to make sure they're going to have a good day. And I feel like even just the smallest change, just saying hello, good morning, just really can change their day. And it comes back to the kids are the ones that keep me coming back here. They keep me coming in and trying for them. Because we have to do continuing ed. The more headaches and the more, why do I do this?
Mm-hmm.
Summers aren't off. Summers are time for us to go do more learning.
Yeah.
To keep up with the programs and all the equipment.
And a lot of extra pay, too, because of that.
So
right?
much extra pay.
It's like you're volunteering along with your...
it's exactly right. You're volunteering your time.
Even though you're being paid, you're
Even
not
though you're
being
being paid.
for the time that's required.
Right. And depending on, like I said, you got to put in some extra time just to keep it going.
So how invaluable are volunteers to you? Because I'm sure you've had some volunteers here and there.
Great volunteers. Former students coming back in to work with the kids.
So volunteers don't necessarily cover a particular age.
No. Volunteers can go from you just graduated last year to I had you 8 years ago to you're an adult and you work in the industry and you just want to come in and talk to my kids.
Yeah.
So they get an idea of what it really takes to be in the industry. And that's all ages of volunteers is what's necessary. And, it really, as a teacher, especially, with 40 kids in a classroom and one of you, man, a volunteer just spending the day with me could make the difference. That's a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. The other day we went to a studio that's creating games here in Eustis. Adam Mayer, I don't know if it's Meyer or Mayer.
I think it's Adam Meyer.
Adam, my former Eustis High student.
Yeah.
And took Megan and a few people over. Megan's in the room. We're going to talk to Megan later. But tell me what kind of effect that had and what kind of impact that had on you as well as the other students being in that atmosphere in a small town, and kind of give people an idea of what that business is.
Well,
and the impact it has.
To see that type of studio developing a video game in small town Eustis, right when you opened the door, you knew you were in someplace special. Your eyes had to adjust. It was dark. And then once they did, you realized there were 10 people in there working hard, making this video game. And to have my kids see that you don't have to be in Hollywood or down in Orlando to do something like this, to do something this big, that people will come to you if you have the idea. Man, it was invaluable. And then for them just to speak with these gentlemen for the hour we were there, I feel like hopefully it gave them some hope coming out of a small town like this.
Yeah, and all those guys, they came out of something as well. I mean, Adam came from a small town, came from here, Eustis High. Mm-hmm. No one thinks of this place unless something big happens somewhere along the way. Jamal, I believe that was his name, was one of the guys that used to work for DreamWorks. He got mad when I said Pixar. So DreamWorks, Jamal, and where he came out of. And they came from different parts of the country and part of the world. One of them came from New Zealand.
Yeah.
But they converged here, and a lot of that stuff came out of high school.
Yeah. No, that's
middle school.
People, high school teachers, volunteers when these kids are young, you can change students' lives. You can change their perception, make them want to come back here. I never wanted to come back to Lake County. I'm not going to lie to you. Graduated high school, I was like, I'm out of here.
Absolutely.
Went to North Carolina, never wanted to turn around and come back. It's because the people who changed me were here. And it's about going back to something and people that know you and know what you can do for them. A lot of those people were with the school board.
Yeah.
That shaped me. And I kind of came back in, and now I'm giving back to them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, tell me this. Tell me the type of people you think should not volunteer or go into youth work, and then tell me the type of people that are reluctant but probably should.
It's going to take time. Even if you don't have the time and you want to, if you're not going to work hard, stay out of youth. Stay out of working with the kids. They expect you to do for them because somebody does. They may not have somebody at home that does for them, and if you do for them, you could change their life. So if you're willing to do, even if it's not even for a long time, if you see like you don't have much time in your day for those kids, but maybe it's 30 minutes, 15 minutes, talk to somebody. You could change their life if you're willing to do. I think those are the people who we really need to help us as volunteers. If you just want to sit there and babysit and not be actively engaged, we don't need you to volunteer. We have other kids. The kids can babysit themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they really can.
Right.
If they're engaged, that's where. So if you're willing to engage, I think that's where it starts.
Yeah, and you have to be pretty smart though in order to. Your IQ has to be high. You have
well-rounded.
to already be a great communicator and speaker before you ever be facetious, of course.
No, I know you don't. It goes back to the willingness to try. You become a great speaker, speaking to people. You become a good worker by working with kids.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If you're not willing to take the leap, then you'll never know.
Yeah,
you got to jump in.
That's it. That's
how it was with teaching for me, with anything.
Hey, tell me some of the funniest moments that you've had.
Funny
Whether it was in your
moments.
teenage years or in your teaching years.
Funny moments. Well,
you didn't see it coming, but it just made your day. You laughed your head off. I don't know.
Just anything.
Every other day here, right?
Yeah, every other day. There was a student. She was in our self-contained class down in Building 6, and every morning she would stand next to me in the parent pickup line. She spoke sign language. I do not. She could read lips pretty well.
Wow.
Some of the stuff, she would just point at people and just mouth some words and just make me laugh.
Yeah.
And and I learned to say good morning in sign language, and just because she would stand next to me out there, and putting a smile on her face would just that was a good day. There's other times where you don't think you're going to reach the kids, and you say hello every morning they walk past. You say hello every morning they walk past, and then eventually one day they say, "Good morning, Mr. Ligler."
Yeah, it's a big deal. People who don't work with students don't get that. Adults are that way too. One thing I found is that adults and students are really kind of the same people. The adults who are out of school on their own, they have some more authority to do in life. But when students transition, a lot of who they are there, some things change, but a lot of that, we struggle with some of the same things. We struggle with saying hello. We take time to analyze, find out if somebody is for us or against us.
Right. And as kids, you want them to be for you.
Yeah.
Every kid wants that person that's going to be ready for them.
And the students want you to be for them. Sometimes that's their hesitation.
And we were talking about funny things. And, once you have buy-in, they're going to double check you. And one of my students' favorite things to do is point out when Lig's wrong. That's their best thing. And we get a great laugh out of that. And I always tell them, I'm like, it's okay to be wrong. I'm never always right. Ask my wife. I'm always wrong there. But it's, those kids that just find it when you were wrong, and they love it when their teachers are wrong. But it's okay. I love it when they fix my mistakes. I'm not perfect. I never said I was. I never stepped in and said, all right, guys, here's the Bible. This is how it is. This is exactly the testament here. And no, that's some of the funniest things is they love to point out when I'm wrong, and that's okay. I'm not wrong often, though.
People need to know that people need to know that you're vulnerable. And the thing that I've learned in studying leadership and studying business and things, which is something I didn't study for years, the leadership I did, the business part I didn't, and that is this. It is important that you fail.
Oh, yes.
Because failing is the only way to progression. And most of us not most of us, I can't say that, it's very general. Some of us were brought up to believe that you cannot fail. And those who believe they cannot fail cannot progress, not to the extent that they need to. So failure is a big deal. And for you to show your students that, hey, it's okay if I fail, point out some of those failures. One thing they tell us in business, some of the biggest business people in the world, they say, you must fail. I want my kids to fail, but you must fail quickly. Because failing quickly means that you get up quickly and you try again, because failure is the way to get to success. You cannot succeed. And so I think it's huge that you're letting those guys know, okay, what's my failures today?
Yeah, no, we got to point out the failures.
Yeah.
And we're talking about this, and I can specifically think of a football coach my freshman year of high school. His name was Coach Harris. We were doing a drill on the 5-man sled. Talk about failure. Every time you'd hit one and roll, hit one and roll, hit one and roll, and then you had to make a tackle. Right off the bat, I made the tackle. Not good enough, Ligler, do it again. Instant. I did that drill probably 30 times as my teammates watched. Practice was over. I was still doing the drill. Was not good enough for that coach because he pushed and pushed and pushed. And, I was dead tired. And finally at the end, other people cheering you on, your teammates, your coach, this one coach that said he saw something and he pushed until it came out. Automatic right off the bat, not good enough, Ligler. Wasn't used to that. I hadn't played football before. Swam for years. I was Junior Olympics on top, number 1, and then I get there and these kids have played football before. And I hadn't. And he pushed because he saw it. He saw the drive. And he knew that if I stopped, that he had broken me. But I didn't. I kept going. That one coach who saw the one thing made me strive and made me, I was all-state honorable mention in high school football.
That helped you in your volunteer days, didn't it? That helped you in your teaching days now.
Yeah.
The ability to keep failing and keep getting up and to progress because you failed and got up, not because you tried to be perfect.
Because, every time I'd not do it, he goes, your team needs you. These other people need you. And, that's just like my kids here. They need you. You're going to wake up the next day. You're going to do it again. I don't care how hard the last day hurt you. You're going to get up. You're going to do it again.
Yeah.
Because there's somebody there that needs you.
Well, we'll close with this too, but Jerry Rice, you remember the receiver for 49ers?
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't?
Jerry, right, exactly. And Jerry was the #1 receiver in the NFL. I don't know if to this day, but he was relentless in his practices. There was a 2.5-mile hill in San Francisco that he would run every day. And so occasionally his in-season and off-season. But it was in high school. They had to run suicides up this hill, and he said, I saw where I could sneak out and get to the locker room and no one would know. He said, I was halfway there, and I heard this voice in my head say, Jerry, if you quit now, you'll keep quitting. He said, I turned back to the hill, and I kept running. He says, I've never stopped running the hill since. That practice metaphorically, and then on. And when he went to San Francisco, they said there was nobody with a work ethic like Jerry Rice. The reason he was successful was that he was relentless with not giving up, with not quitting, with constantly being in training, that there was no off season for him.
What we do with kids, there's no off season.
There's no off season. That's right.
That's right.
You take a couple of breaks, and we all need breaks, and the breaks are important for people because they break if they don't have breaks.
Correct.
And so if you're in volunteer world or you need a break, you take your breaks. I don't mean quit, but take your breaks because
quit.
that'll break you if you don't. And
Mhm.
same, especially with workers, you got to be consistent in time off. Okay. So listen, Mike, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Doug. Always a pleasure,
It's
sir.
huge, absolutely, and thanks for the ability
Oh, yeah.
to come in here and
Not a
do
problem.
these podcasts and work on them. And we got some more people coming. All right.
All right.
You've been listening to the Youth Worker on Fire podcast. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and tell your friends. Also, leave a comment and tell us what you think. Stay tuned for more informative episodes.